Welcome to Creation in the 21st Century. I'm your host, Carl Ball, founder and director of the Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas. The title to today's program is The Heavens and Recent Creation. How do we reconcile the data which indicates that some of the constellary bodies, distant galaxies, might be 15, 20 billion light years away, and yet the entire creation is just a matter of thousands of years in age, including those stellar bodies? How do we reconcile this? Well, don't miss the program. Call a friend, because this information is absolutely vital. In fact, of the problems for creation science over the decades, the one that has been brought up more often than any other has to do with distant starlight, with time in the universe, and yet the biblical model of creation indicating that everything is just a few thousand years old. Some have accommodated old age by putting a gap between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. Others have used a progressive creationary interpretation. Well, what do the data actually support? Today's telecast is vitally important. Please call a friend, because this information you need to know and your friends need to know. I've always been interested in the starry heavens. As a child, on a clear Texas starry night, I was enthralled with the majesty of the heavens. During the space program, I had dear friends closely involved, and there was a time when I thought about actually getting involved in the study of astronomy. But as my friends were intimately involved in the space program, I remember two in particular. One was Pad Foreman for the launch of the Apollo programs and other programs for NASA. Another was involved in the intricate research and isolated plutonium-238 for the first time in history. Actually designed, that's Dr. Richard Grove, actually designed the nuclear reactors that powered our early instruments on the moon. In fact, he loaned me one, a little radioisotopic heater. It was a nuclear reactor, controlled, and as I would lecture, I would take this with me. In those days, I could walk on a plane with that. These days, of course, you couldn't get anywhere near a plane. It would take a special courier. I remember stepping on a plane once, or boarding, and the stewardess said, "What's in the box?" and smiled. I said, "Nothing but a nuclear reactor." And she smiled, and I walked to my seat. And it was a nuclear reactor. So I've been interested in the space program. In fact, my friend George Baldwin was Pad Foreman for many of the launches, and I kept pestering George, called him Deacon. I would say, "Deacon, can you get me on one of those space flights?" And he'd keep saying to me, "We're working on it, we're working on it." In those days, I was young, quite agile, quite ready. Of course, I was unqualified, but I kept saying, "Deacon, are you getting me on one of these space flights? We're working on it." Then I made the mistake of having him on the platform before a large audience of people, and I said, "Deacon, are you getting me on one of these space flights?" And he said, "Well, we've been working on it, but we finally realized it's impossible because we have a weight problem." Well, I was brought to my level, and everyone laughed, and he laughed, and I laughed, but there was some truth to that, and of course I was unqualified. But now, let's see if we can solve a major problem. The title to today's program is The Heavens and Recent Creation. Contrary to popular secular models, the heavens are observed to be young, all within a biblical, scientific creation model. So, don't miss a moment of what I came to tell you today. This illustrates the standard model. Supposedly, some 15 to 20 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. Debris settling from that Big Bang in the loop of Orion of one of the major arms of the Milky Way galaxy. and that's Perseus, and then developing our solar system. In time, debris from that produced the living systems on planet Earth. According to that concept, we have had up to 20 billion years of expansion of space fabric and time transpiring in the universe. And if there's enough mass in the universe, all of these wonderful galaxies, including ours, will collapse back upon themselves in the Big Crunch. Began as the Big Bang, will end as the Big Crunch. Or, if there's not enough mass to cause the collapse of the universe, the standard model states that these galaxies will continue to expand out and out farther from each other, and ultimately there will not be enough exchange of information, heat, so that we'll die in the big freeze. Or, if they're pretty well balanced, do not collapse, if they do not have continued galactic expansion, then it'll all die in the big fizzle because of the second law of thermodynamics, entropy, everything running down. Either way, no matter how we cut it, the evolutionary model gives no hope. And the concept is we have 13.8 to 20 billion years of universal time. How do we reconcile this with recent creation in the heavens? I came to invest in your life. I came to give information that I hope will be beneficial, but to get all of this information in one program is going to require absolute concentration. First of all, in trying to solve the problem of the heavens and recent creation, number one, the Earth in space demonstrates recent creation. You see, planet Earth travels 66,000 miles per hour in space, orbiting the Earth and orbiting the Sun. That specific speed perfectly offsets the Sun's gravitational pull. Here we are with a magnetic field. Here we are circumnavigating, rotating around the Sun. And this speed of 66,000 miles per hour perfectly offsets the Sun's gravitational pull and keeps the Earth orbit the proper distance from the Sun. Now, Earth's magnetic field is affected by the Sun's rays, and any significant disruption of the Earth-Sun magnetic balance would bear consequences, major and drastic consequences. Watch the following. The work of the late Dr. Thomas Barnes indicates that the total energy in the Earth's magnetic field is decreasing with a half-life of 1,465 years, plus or minus a few years. Paleomagnetic data, the data actually given in the rocks from sedimentary rocks, demonstrate the field to have historically decayed at least as fast as it does now. Need to get this. The field at that rate would be considerably less than 20,000 years old and date the Earth within that time frame. Not 4.8 billion years, but within a time frame less than 20,000 years. Watch the following. It is all one beautiful system. Catastrophic restructuring of Earth's interior has resulted in geomagnetic reversals. Evidence for extraordinarily rapid changes in the geomagnetic field during a reversal has now been publicly published in the mainline secular literature. Now let me emphasize this and put it into language so that I don't lose you. It was previously thought that the reversals of Earth's magnetic field occurred between 160,000 and 250,000 years ago, and there was a slow reversal. But now, even in the mainline secular technical literature, data have begun to appear showing that some of these reversals occurred within days or weeks of each other.